Tonight, Kirrily hits Townsville. The cyclone downing trees and knocking out power to more than 60,000 homes. Boats beached, but the north escaped significant damage for now. Warnings of flooding rain remain. Invasion Day protesters target cricket fans and breach Gabba security after thousands march through the city. Elsewhere, Queenslanders make the most of the long weekend. Meet our Australians of the Year, inspirational melanoma treatment pioneers, now turning to a very personal cause. And marking 25 years of his classic video game, skateboard legend Tony Hawk brings his tricks to town.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Sharyn, Ghidella and Max Futcher.
Good evening. North Queenslanders could face days without power after Tropical Cyclone Kirrily slammed into the coast overnight. She brought down trees and power lines with tens of thousands of properties still blacked out. The system has been downgraded to a tropical low, but could still pack a punch.
Kirrily crashes into Queensland, bringing down trees and power lines. Boats broke their moorings, the Skylark no match for cyclonic winds.
Hello?
Fortunately, no one was on board. The Category 2 system made landfall around 10 last night.
Oh, the lightning.
Most people stayed indoors, except one lone backpacker spotted by our news crew.
Well, I'm from Scotland, so I thought I'm normally used to this kind of weather.
He'd just arrived by bus from Cairns.
It's chaos, trees everywhere, crazy wind.
Dropped to his hostel that was hosting a cyclone party. One of many. More than 250,000 people were in the path of the storm. Kirrily reached Category 3 in the hours before it crossed the coast, but lost strength on approach. The strongest recorded wind gust on the mainland was 107 kilometres an hour at Alba Beach.
Yeah, it was a bit scary actually, it was fairly windy.
On Hamilton Island, winds reached 115 kilometres per hour.
Yesterday we said we were preparing for the worst but hoping for the best, and largely that seems to be what has happened.
In Townsville, gusts reached 93 kilometres an hour. Still, it toppled trees and crushed cars.
Last night I saw a trampoline flying.
The SES has responded to more than 200 calls for help.
No lives were lost. There has been minimal property damage. The biggest impact at this stage is on the energy network.
This morning, 64,000 households were without power. It could be days before it's fully restored.
This will be a bit of a marathon, not so much a sprint.
The whole town of Ayr was blacked out.
Almighty crash and everyone jumped. And then she's come down and taken out the power lines. Got no power now.
Awnings and fences came crashing down too.
We'll fix her up and go again.
Wayne Brooker lost his whirlybird off his roof.
I heard a few whacks and bangs, but out of that I thought my aerial would go for sure.
He will be able to watch TV, but there'll be no drive-in movies anytime soon.
I just saw a bit of movement up there today. That should be right, but it's just pulled right through all the bolts and everything and just peeled it off like a big slice of cheese going across there and collapsed on the ground there.
The Stardust Drive-In is Queensland's oldest. Frank and Susie want to be up and running again by their 60th anniversary in September.
They got drive-in movies and now they've got see-through TVs. Now we've got a see-through screen.
At least their sense of humour is intact.
We have seen some minor to moderate damage to infrastructure and to residents. But can I say this is not widespread?
Boats were hit hard. Some will be salvageable, others won't. This one washed up at Horseshoe Bay. At Magnetic Island, power and phone lines went down, but ferries resumed this afternoon.
There's fallen trees on these portables, roads closed, trees everywhere. And, just let's start cleaning up now.
The transition to recovery is swift. Locals and crews out cutting up fallen branches and removing debris from the road.
As people move about, live power lines, hazards from floodwater, stay informed.
Across Townsville and surrounds, the hum of chainsaws.
Nothing you can do, you just got to live with it.
As the north proves its resilience once again. And while they are resilient here in the far north, in North Queensland rather, there is a big clean-up ahead. For some, like here at Ayers Stardust Drive-In, it is a bigger clean-up than for others. Most people I've spoken to tell me they really feel like they've dodged a bullet. The overwhelming sense is they were bracing for a Category 3 system, so they're relieved it wasn't worse. Townsville Airport has now reopened, and in Townsville, residents there are being told to conserve water because power outages are affecting treatment plants. I'm told the Premier is expected to tour impacted communities in and around Townsville tomorrow. Max?
Sally Guide reporting from Ayr. Let's bring in Anna McGraw now, who's in Townsville. Anna, there is much relief about just how much rain ended up falling.
Well, Maxwell, it was a very long night for the residents here in Townsville who were waiting and watching to see exactly what ex-tropical cyclone Kirrily would bring as she crossed the North Queensland coast. And of course, as we mentioned, that system, it did weaken as it made landfall overnight. But as you can see, there's still a big mess that has been left behind, which will take some time to clean up. Of course, the other concern was the widespread flooding and that heavy amount of rainfall which was forecast. But in good news, Townsville so far has been spared. That system this morning was downgraded to a tropical low, and it has now moved across the state into the northwest. Now, there is a severe weather warning for many regional towns and communities out there who are right now receiving an absolute drenching. In Queensland's northwest, the swollen Etheridge River, snaking through Georgetown as ex-tropical cyclone Kirrily brings much-needed rain.
Falls up over 100 mil upstream of us on quite a few of the rivers and creeks.
The system moved inland overnight, bringing steady rain to the northwest from early this morning. Further south in Hughenden, around 80 millimetres has fallen. The gutters are full and some dirt roads are cut, and the Flinders River is flowing.
It's just beautiful, steady rain, no wind, just everything, all the good things you can get from a cyclone, we're getting. Except it hasn't gone far enough south yet.
In Richmond, they had been looking forward to the remnants of a cyclone.
I think really they'd like a couple 100 mil, but some more would probably be better, but not all at once.
Farmers today breathing a sigh of relief.
From what I can see on the outside, it doesn't look too bad, but most of the bigger stuff just fell over, but that it'll come back up again.
It was a pretty minor cyclone for us this time, so we got over it very, very lucky.
The north isn't out of the woods. The Weather Bureau warning minor to major riverine flooding is possible in coming days.
As that system continues to move, it has an extreme amount of moisture through the atmosphere with it and will produce heavy to intense rainfall and could lead to life-threatening flash flooding.
Help remains available in case it's needed.
We've also put ADF personnel and helicopters that are based in Townsville on standby.
While the west is receiving a drenching here in Townsville where the cyclone crossed, it's virtually dry. A couple of centimetres falling in home rain gauges at Saunders Beach in the suburb that felt the eye's impact.
Probably about 51, 52 mils. And there was no storm surge, so that was good. It usually comes right up here, the storm surge.
David Fraser's awning was ripped off as Kirrily made landfall, the sheet of metal narrowly missing power lines.
It sort of just changed at 12, and the winds turned, Before that it was really calm. We thought the roof was coming off,
A small community thankful to be spared from an unusual cyclone. Anna McGraw, 7 News.
I'm joined now by Chris Hooper from Ergon Energy. Chris, how many properties are still without power tonight?
We've been using local resources today to respond to critical infrastructure, damage assess and bring customers back on supply. So we've been able to achieve around 4,500 customers back on supply today. We're looking to get another 1,500 throughout the evening, and we'll have crews working throughout the night to try and bring those numbers down again. We had about 100 resources on the ground today. We're looking to mobilise another 500 resources into the areas tomorrow, and we should be able to set ourselves up for a more successful day over the next 2 days.
All right, a big job for those still facing another night without power. Can you give them some sort of idea on times, and is it more complicated for outlying areas like behind us here at Magnetic Island?
We'll see the majority of customers come back on over the next 2 to 3 days. It is in more rural areas harder for us to access and restore that supply. We've got crews over in Magnetic Island today and tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have a few wins in that space as well.
All right, a big job ahead for your men and women. Best of luck with that. Thank you very much for that, Chris. All right, let's bring in Tony Auden now. And Tony, what's the latest on that rain out west?
Well, Max, while it's eased on the coast, we do still have those warnings for large parts of northwestern Queensland. At the moment, a mix of rain and storms from near the Gulf down towards Winton and also across towards Georgetown here. A couple of spots picking up 70 to 80 millimetres of rain today. We have severe weather warning for heavy rain and separate severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds covering that large area here in yellow here. A flood watch remains current for all of those inland catchments across the north and west of the state. And we're seeing some minor to moderate flooding developing in some of those catchments already. Now back to the southeast where we have heat wave conditions set to continue and build a spike in temperatures tomorrow with warm nights too, leading to a severe, even extreme heat wave over the course of the next 3 days. On top of all of that, storms are set to return to the southeast tomorrow afternoon. They will be most likely for areas south of Brisbane. There's still a bit happening. Max, I'll be back soon with the forecast.
There sure is. Thank you, Tony. Sharyn, I'll have more from North Queensland soon.
We'll catch you then. Thank you, Max. Well, to other news now, and Invasion Day protesters have clashed with cricket fans at the Gabba, blocking an entrance and breaching security. It follows a week of division over Cricket Australia's decision not to acknowledge Australia Day, today changing its tune.
At the gates to the Gabba, a rallying cry. Peaceful protesters turned defiant and angry.
How dare you!
Screaming at fans who were streaming in to watch the cricket.
It is irresponsible that they are playing sports on land where there has been massacres. It is so insensitive to be celebrating on a day of shame.
Before the entrance was closed, 3 made it inside.
Bit of a security breach, Mel. Australia Day protests are happening outside Gate 2 as we speak.
Up in the stands, shouting to an empty stadium.
Nobody was harmed. Play won't be delayed.
It was momentarily when a lone protester ran onto the pitch as tempers flared outside.
It's Australia Day. It's for all of Australians. It's not just for any individual.
I just want to watch the cricket.
Police formed a wall separating protesters from punters, forcing fans to use other gates.
Happy Australia Day, mate. Good on you. Thanks for coming.
This group was part of the Invasion Day rally, which began in Queen's Gardens.
We want our justice. Let's get our justice, my people.
Instead of celebration, there were speeches and a moment of reflection.
I'm a brand new grandma and I'm here for my grandson.
And a call for Australia Day to be abolished.
I don't think that Australia should be celebrated on any date.
There's like a misconception that Australia's not racist anymore, but I actually think nothing much has changed.
In their thousands, they marched across Victoria Bridge. With culture on show. On our National Day, there is a clear divide, and this collective call for change has never been louder.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
Their voices bolstered by another group, pro-Palestinian protesters.
Ceasefire now!
Both messages made loud and clear. Well, as the day's play continues here at the Gabba, the protesters have now all gone home. But during their earlier demonstration inside the Gabba, Australia Day was acknowledged, despite the cricket boss saying it wouldn't be. The announcer welcomed supporters by saying, "Cricket fans, welcome to the Gabba, this Australia Day public holiday." Now, despite that small protest here earlier, police say they are generally overall pleased with crowd behaviour. No arrests were made today.
Georgia Holland with that report. Well, families across the southeast kept with tradition on a day of celebration and reflection, marking what it means to be Australian. In Queensland, that comes with a strong sense of pride and enjoying the outdoors.
The sun, the sea, the seafood,
Australia Day's the best.
the slang.
Oh, she'll be all right.
Fair income.
It's the day for everything Aussie.
Well done!
With dunny races and pie eating at Oakey, sack racing on the coast,
Happy Australia Day! Woo!
and all around appreciation for the freedom and rules of the lucky country.
A lot of luck, allow for the wind and don't throw it over the fence.
Watering holes were busy.
Cheers.
But not like the beach. At Tellabudgera, getting in early meant arriving last night.
We've got the
Barbie in the car that we're going to go get now.
We were up at 4:30 this morning to get a spot.
At dawn in Sydney, flags were raised together at a reflection service. Air Force roulettes zoomed over the harbour. On a date that's divisive, but when pride still runs deep.
Backyard festivities are an Australia Day staple, but the Millers in Redcliffe have moved to the front lawn this year to spread the joy.
Loud and proud, celebrate Australia Day.
At City Hall, there was a sense of belonging.
That feels like home.
Now it officially is for 550 new citizens.
When the ceremony started, I had the goosebumps.
I just really love the lifestyle that Queensland has to offer.
Where else would you rather be?
Too many flags? For Jeff, there's no such thing.
I can go and get me bow tied as well.
Spending his day like many others, with fold-out chairs, family and 87% humidity, feeling 100% Australian. Michelle Jensen, 7 News.
And that is Sam Payne on the Gold Coast, where the heat and humidity saw big crowds head to the beach, Sam.
Sharyn, this is Surfers Paradise Beach, where the flags have just been taken down for the evening. But as you can see behind me, there's still quite a lot of people in the water across the day. Lifeguards and lifesavers had their hands full, with over 150,000 people hitting our city's beaches. It was even busier in the waterways under the watchful eye of dozens of police.
They headed out on paddleboards, jet skis, cruisers and even an inflatable thong. An armada of revellers keen for a day on the water.
It's jam-packed.
So many vessels, the Gold Coast Broadwater a patchwork of engine wake.
Probably 100 boats out by the time I got out.
And this is where many were headed, Wavebreak Island. At times appearing a little out of control. It was the focus for police. There were teams of officers keeping an eye on the Australia Day antics.
We are targeting drink driving and drug driving and obviously checking people's safety gear on their boats.
Beaches were busy right across the Gold Coast, with thousands of swimmers watched closely by volunteer lifesavers.
At Burleigh Heads, hundreds were ordered out of the water. When a 6-year-old boy went missing, he wandered off in the massive crowd. The boy was found safe and the big day by the beach returned to normal.
Everyone's happy, good crowd.
Lovely to see so many people here enjoying the day.
There were rescues at Duranbah and Surfers Paradise. The waves weren't big, but flash ribs caused trouble through the afternoon tide.
It's always a worry if people aren't swimming in the flags. If you're with the lifeguards and the lifesavers and something happens, anything at all, we can help.
Tomorrow, less clouds and more blue sky. The crowds will be back on the Gold Coast. Sam Payne, 7 News.
Outstanding Aussies honoured on our National Day, the Australian of the Year fighting to cure the disease that's trying to kill him. That's next. An emergency landing above a busy road. See the dramatic video. Australia's lottery record smashed. Your shot at $200 million. And a buttered chicken battle over the recipe's state of origin. Police have tracked down an alleged child sex offender in East Brisbane following a 3-month investigation. The 63-year-old man was hit with 96 charges related to the indecent treatment of girls under 16. It's alleged the offences took place between 1980 and 1991 across the Wide Bay and Capricornia regions. 2 professors dedicated to saving lives have been named Australians of the Year as one of them battles terminal cancer. Richard Scolyer and Georgina Long are calling for an end to the bronzed Aussie culture, which they claim is killing us.
The sunburnt country honouring 2 warriors in the fight against skin cancer. Professors Richard Scolyer and Georgina Long have pioneered immunotherapy research, causing survival rates to soar.
These immunotherapy drugs have come so far, and ultimately they've saved my life.
Our goal is to achieve 0 deaths from melanoma.
Using their speech to thank patients who participated in trials but lost their fight.
That is Aussie mateship at its very best.
In a tragic twist, Richard Scolyer has been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer.
I don't want to die. I love my life. my family. I have so much more to do.
Including sacrificing his body for science in a world-first experiment, ignoring traditional treatments, receiving immunotherapy before removing the brain tumour.
The data we have generated from this fearless approach is already changing the field.
From the field of sport,
6 gold medals for Emma McKeon.
our most decorated Olympian is now Young Australian of the Year.
It's all different kinds of feelings, but it's all equally special.
Yelme Yunupingu, the Senior Australian of the Year, for a life dedicated to teaching English and Indigenous languages to children in Arnhem Land.
I haven't stopped wanting to educate people to see the benefit in both worlds.
For his love of the prehistoric world, Queensland's David Elliott is our local hero. He's transformed a shed in Winton into the Age of Dinosaurs Museum, a major tourist attraction.
Keeping the small communities of outback Australia alive is imperative.
Honouring remarkable Australians. Josh Martin, 7 News.
A Turkish military plane has been spotted flying at dangerously low altitudes. The aircraft encountered a technical problem during a training exercise and had to make an emergency landing, forcing it to pass over a busy road and a stadium. No crew members were injured. North Queensland residents counting the costs of Cyclone Kirrily. Next, destruction on the shores, boats beached, special coverage live from Townsville. The moment a knife-wielding thug strikes a Robina bottle shop. Incredible achievements the Queenslanders honoured on Australia Day. And exclusive retro heaven for gamers as Tony Hawk skates into town.
A summer of destruction, cyclones, flooding, storm after storm. When it's never been so hard to know what's coming next, you can trust Tony Auden, an experienced meteorologist. Tony knows the weather. 7 News, every night at 6.
While many in the north are feeling like they've dodged a bullet, others are counting the cost from last night's destructive winds. Here in Townsville, some woke to a shock, finding their boats had been swept up in the storm. I spoke to one affected boatie earlier today. As you drive around Townsville today, the main thing you notice is the number of trees that have been brought down. They're blocking roads and bringing down power lines, and it's impacting the power network. But then there's a situation like this. This yacht came ashore at the height of the storm as Cyclone Kirrily made landfall last night. The owner, Peter Bright, tells me that it was moored over at the casino at a place called the Duck Ponds, which you would think would be a safe location, but he got a call to say that this is where his yachts ended up.
With these sort of conditions, it's a chain that broke, so, it's one of those things. You get lucky or you don't.
What was the plan?
We're going to need a high tide, bring her up, try and get the front around and haul her out with another boat. She's a solid old girl, but we'll just wait and see what happens now.
Well, Peter's not the only boatie who got caught out. There's another beached next to his, more on the strand, while others have come to grief on the breakwater near the casino. They've sunk and are breaking up as they're dashed against the rocks. The headline, though, really is no deaths, no major structural damage. So considering that a cyclone has come ashore as a direct hit almost on the city of Townsville, they can consider themselves lucky.
Yes, it could have been much worse. Thank you, Max. Anthony Albanese has dismissed Peter Dutton's call for an early election over his revamped tax cuts. The opposition has labelled the redesign a broken promise, robbing Australian workers of $28 billion in the long run.
Flagging new divisions on Australia Day.
So are you going to vote against a tax cut for 11 million Australians or not?
You want a gold star, Jason, for lying to the Australian people?
The government defying calls from the opposition to put its rewrite of the Stage 3 tax cuts to the people and go to an early election.
We have a liar in the lodge, and Anthony Albanese is a weak man.
This isn't the easy decision. This is the right decision.
Arguing 84% of Australians will get a bigger tax cut under the shake-up, which halves tax breaks promised to those earning above $200,000, but hands larger cuts to everyone earning up to $146,500.
I don't consider it a broken premise. I think they've improved on a commitment to return some taxes.
If you go into an election and say you're not going to break any promises,
you should go with it. That's what people vote for.
The government demanding to know what the opposition will vote for.
Are you saying that you're going to jack taxes back up again if you win the next election?
I'm not going to announce today what we're going to take forward to the next election.
But seizing on Treasury modelling, which reveals keeping the 37% tax threshold but applying it to those earning between $135,000 and $190,000 will rake in an extra $28 billion over the next decade through bracket creep.
We are returning bracket creep where it matters most and where it hurts the most, which is in Middle Australia.
Economists estimate the tax revamp will inject an extra $3 billion into the economy, but say because it'll take time for that money to hit workers' bank accounts, it won't have much of an impact on inflation.
It's not going to change what was going to happen to interest rates either.
Still predicting the first cut at Christmas.
Lovely.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
A family of 5 has escaped their burning house in Kalanga this morning. Flames quickly spread, gutting the inside of the home and damaging part of a neighbouring house.
External damage only, cracked windows, PVC downpipes melted.
A child was taken to hospital for mild smoke inhalation. It's believed the blaze was sparked by a lithium battery. Australians from every corner of the country have been recognised and rewarded in this year's Australia Day honours. For the first time, 4 scientists received the Governor-General's highest accolade for their life-changing research.
For 2 decades, he was the face of breakfast television. Now David Koch has been honoured as a member of the Order of Australia for his service to media.
If we can use our role to galvanise the community to do good, well, that's the fantastic part of the job.
He's one of more than 1,000 on the Australia Day honours list. Children's author Pamela Allen recognised for her service to literature.
The books are part of parenting.
World-leading burn specialist Professor Fiona Wood also honoured.
It's an inspiration to just keep going.
And musical director John Foreman recognised for his work on major events like Carols by Candlelight.
This was very unexpected. It was a complete surprise.
Among Queensland's recipients, former St Paul's principal Paul Browning, whose shock sacking outraged the school community.
It was, really quite humbling, and I was really grateful to actually receive that call.
UQ Vice-Chancellor Professor Deborah Terry, now a companion of the Order of Australia, our highest honour, recognised for her work helping address the education gap.
Making sure that those opportunities are available right across our community.
Only 4 companions were named across the country, all scientists, including Queensland criminologist Professor Lorraine Mazarol. She's helping fight youth crime.
In the trials that we've been doing is where the police are partnering with schools and with the families and the young people.
For only the second time since 1975, the number of women honoured is more than men, and almost 50 recipients were recognised for their contribution to Australia's COVID-19 response. Queensland speech pathologist Deborah Theodoris has spent 2 decades developing telehealth technology that proved crucial during the pandemic.
And of course that was pretty difficult to achieve with the type of technology we had back then.
A diverse group, but all humble heroes. Samantha Heathwood, 7 News.
It's the culinary knife fight that's ended up in court. Coming up, the bitter battle over who invented buttered chicken. A frenzied bottle shop robbery on the Gold Coast. A jaw-dropping jackpot record, your chance at $200 million. And why diet bars and health shakes could be doing more harm than good.
Seven News doesn't just bring you the news.
Everybody is seeking shelter.
This is where news breaks.
A $2.7 billion question mark.
Know your suburb.
The roof blown 2 streets away.
Know Queensland.
Young vandals launch themselves.
Know the news first on 7 News.
Now to video of a frenzied liquor store hold up on the Gold Coast. CCTV shows the knife-wielding, mask-wearing man storming the store at Robina. He threatened the worker, handing over a bag to fill with money. It happened on January 1. The man fled with cash and alcohol. He's still on the run. Australian lottery history could be made next week after last night's Powerball jackpot soared. A record-breaking $200 million is now up for grabs.
Already in the running, but what to do with $200 million?
A penthouse in Broadbeach.
I'll go to Vegas. I talked to my financial accountant, the wife.
Surely there'd be some leeway if he landed the next Powerball prize after last night's draw.
And tonight's Powerball was number 10.
Proved unsuccessful.
There were no Division 1 winners, so it has jackpotted to that record-breaking $200 million for next Thursday night's draw.
The most on offer in Australian lottery history, leading to a mad dash for more tickets.
Didn't do any good, but Kathy won.
Yeah, how much did you win?
$12.
What are you going to buy with that?
Probably another ticket.
For Division 1 wins in the past 6 months, New South Wales has been the luckiest state, raking in $357 million. Victoria close behind, $200 million in winnings. Third was Queensland, scoring $70 million. More than 7,000 tickets were sold in a single minute, around an hour before last night's draw. By next Thursday, half of all Aussie adults will be in the running for the record-breaking Powerball.
Oh, it showed a lot of people and, enjoyed my life.
And your chances?
1 in 134 million.
For many, that won't matter. Jordan Quinn, 7 News.
Popular health bars, diet shakes and sports foods could be doing more harm than good. A study by Deakin University tested 558 products. It found at least a third contained more calories than what was listed on the label. The researchers also warned that extremely processed foods could cause imbalances in healthy gut bacteria and undermine mental health. A family feud is heating up over a classic curry. Coming up, the legal battle over who invented buttered chicken. That spicy story is just ahead on 7 News. And the Windies have created a spicy contest at the Gabba, Alissa.
They're too hot to handle, Sharyn. Hello, everyone. Just ahead, Calypso carnage. The Aussies wilt under the Windies assault on day 2. Plus, the Joker dethroned a remarkable upset at the Australian Open. Welcome back to the Gabba, and Australia are being humbled by the West Indies after the visitors staged a fight back last night to finish all out for 311. The Aussies are struggling at 7 for 161 on day 2. Steve Smith and Cameron Green doing little to prove the doubters wrong.
Last night, tweaker Nathan Lyon ignored a hamstring tweak to crack Hodgin de Silva's 149 stand, the new ball, and Stark did his thing. Caught. The 5th Aussie member of the 350 club.
Numbers are nice, something else to reflect on when I'm all done.
Green's grab gifted a life when play resumed today.
That's gone, no, put down!
The breakthrough when the Windies dropped the ball.
All gone, slipped, all over. So, not a bowler dismissal.
All out for 311. New opener Smith sprinted off in a hurry upon return.
Shot. Magnificent. Full face of the bat.
Next ball, he was trudging off.
Oh, big shout. Massive moment. Steve Smith elevating himself up to open. The batting has been knocked over in the first over.
Second over, Labuschagne.
Off the edge, what a catch! It's a blinder!
The Calypso carnage continued.
In the air, he's out!
Green and Head on the last 2 balls of the session.
Did he tickle that? This could be disaster! He's gone!
Australia 4 for 24, believe it or not.
Marsh thrashed 21 off 19, then Carey couldn't believe his luck.
Gone, I reckon. No, can't believe this could happen. Watch it. Flick the bail and then look at the bail start spinning.
He rode his good fortune to 65 off 48 balls. The Windies, though, claiming the honours on day 2. Sean Lawson, 7 News.
England couldn't win back the Ashes with baseball last year, and it took just 1 day in India to receive another reality check.
Oh, he gets the wicket. What a ball from Jasprit Bumrah. It's almost as if the batter was trying to do too much on that ball.
Ben Stokes' men all out for 246 on the opening day of the first test in Hyderabad. The hosts are making light work of England's spin-heavy attack, building towards a big first innings lead. The tourists already in disarray, especially keeper Ben Foakes. From the pink ball to our champions in teal, and more than 1,000 fans flocked to the CBD today to celebrate our Big Bash drought breakers. But for Heat's hottest bowler, there's more hard work ahead. Towering over the teal faithful, Big Bash royalty in Queen Street Mall. Kuhneman karaoke pumping up the crowd. The heat are yet to come down.
Jordan Buckingham, our 12th man, had a flight at 9:30 today and he's still here, so.
Some fans have waited their whole lives for this moment.
Amazing, because my parents said it was a surprise, and as soon as Dad said get your wooden cricket bat, I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing.
It's great to see the boys get the win, and just great to see everyone playing and how far we've come over the years.
Skipper Nathan McSweeney was 13 when Brisbane first reigned supreme.
I remember that year I was a ball boy at one of their games, and that's why I played the game, is to sit here winning. And being captain is a pretty surreal experience.
Xavier Barlett's got a spring in his step, called up for the ODI series against the Windies. The Com's leading wicket taker keen to pick a few brains.
Hopefully play with Steve Smith, one of the best batters ever. But all those boys, seen him play on TV and all that sort of thing when I was younger.
It's almost expected because we know how talented he is.
Another step toward his green and gold dream.
The Baggy Green's the pinnacle for me, so hopefully one day it can get there.
And be a spectator no longer. To the tennis now, and after 5 years, Novak Djokovic's winning streak at the Australian Open is finally over. Aryna Sabalenka is one win from back-to-back titles, taking on 12th seed Zheng Qinwen in the women's decider. 22-year-old Italian Jannik Sinner stunned the 24-time Grand Slam champ to reach his first major final.
More superhero than tennis player, this was as close as we've seen to Novak Djokovic powerless.
What a start!
The 10-time champion, completely off his game, broken twice in the first set by Jannik Sinner, the Italian barely raising a sweat.
Perfectly played.
No laughing matter for the Joker, 29 unforced errors in the first two sets, doing everything to rev himself up and the crowd.
Oh my goodness. What a save!
Not enough to stop his worst start to a Grand Slam match, 6-1, 6-2.
Sinner smashing this semi-final.
But there's no giving up for Novak.
Yeah, he's made it.
The king of Rod Laver Arena, saving match point to force a fourth set, a cardinal sin by the fourth seed. Jannik quickly repenting, breaking Djokovic again. This time, there was no coming back, finally dethroned.
There's a new king in Melbourne.
I have the feeling that I can still improve a lot, and that's why I have a great team behind me, and that we'll keep pushing.
Chasing revenge for her US Open final defeat, Aryna Sabalenka got it against Coco Gauff.
I wouldn't say that the memory is really bad from the last match we played. I mean, I lost that one, but it's just an extra motivation for me.
Yet to drop a set, now the heavy favourite to win back-to-back titles.
Not like I'm ignoring the pressure. Worst case, you're gonna lose it next year, nothing to defend.
Zheng Qinwen into her first Grand Slam final, 10 years since China's first and only Oz Open champion, Li Na.
She told me, don't think too much, just go for it. I mean, that's enough, I think.
James Manton, 7 News.
With Sharyn, plenty of sport happening around the country, with plenty of action here at the Gabba. The Aussies currently 7 for 161.
All right, Alissa, thank you for that. Well, a bit of battle is raging over the origin of butter chicken. Two restaurants in Delhi each claim to have invented the dish, now taken away to court in what's sure to be a heated argument.
Mild and creamy butter chicken, a takeaway favourite, now one of India's most famous exports. It was invented nearly 80 years ago. But just who came up with the recipe is going from a kitchen to the courts.
This fight is more slippery than all the butter in the butter chicken.
The descendants of these men are in the culinary knife fight. The pair worked together in Delhi in the 1940s. Their families have since opened their own eateries and both claim to have created the original butter chicken. The argument has now reached the Delhi High Court.
Recipes are very, very personal. People hold them very close to their hearts.
While the world is loving it, in India, a battle has erupted.
Butter chicken.
Restaurant Moti Mahal believes they invented the dish and are suing Daya Arganj, who trademarked the tagline "Inventors of Butter Chicken" in 2018.
Heavyweight restaurants battling it out. I think it's $250,000 is at stake. And its honour at stake.
The next court hearing is in May. The fight expected to be spicy. Graham Butler, 7 News.
Skateboarding legend Tony Hawk in Brisbane. Retro heaven for gamers. Our exclusive interview is next.
And we have heat and storms building again for the southeast. I'll have the details after the break.
His famous trick changed the skating world and his video game inspired a generation. Skateboarding legend Tony Hawk sat down exclusively with 7 News ahead of the game's 25th anniversary celebrations in Brisbane.
It's the trick that turned the skate world on its head.
Are you kidding me?
And kick-started a cultural phenomenon. 25 years since the 900 and the video game that made Tony Hawk a household name.
This is something on a scale of success I never would have dreamed.
Millions of copies sold, more than $1 billion in sales, inspiring a generation of new skaters.
I can't believe the impact that this game has had on a generation. It's an honor. It's not something I take for granted.
Defining childhoods with arguably the greatest soundtracks of all time.
From my perspective, it was a chance for me to share the music that I grew up with. A lot of expectation came with it. So each new game that we released, people were like, what is the soundtrack going to be?
Work is underway at Fortitude Music Hall, ready to celebrate the 25 years of Pro Skater tomorrow, with bands from the original games, a 12-foot half-pipe with Hawk and the Birdhouse team centre stage.
Celebrating one of the greatest video games in history and bringing the worlds of skate and music together.
Well, the half-pipe is downstairs, upstairs is for the gamers. This is where you can play every game in the franchise, even if you're inexperienced, or like me, you still have your original copy.
We've got the new stuff, we've got the old stuff, we've hidden secret tapes around there, so if you find one of those, I'm not going to reveal what's inside.
You never know who you might play.
I've always been partial to Downhill Jam, the level. I would play it incessantly.
And he's not the only one. Ed Balm, 7 News.
Some North Queensland residents are facing week-long power outages after Cyclone Kirrily crossed the coast near Townsville late last night. More than 60,000 properties are in the dark after the Category 2 system brought down power lines and trees. Residents are relieved the damage wasn't more significant. Townsville Airport is now reopened and ferry services to Magnetic Island have resumed. Well, now to Tony Auden. Tony, we still have the threat of severe weather across large parts of Queensland.
Yes, Max, Kirrily has weakened and conditions have eased on the tropical coast, but there is still a bit going on across the rest of the state. Let's start in the southeast, though. Some light showers and drizzle moving through today. The small particles on those drizzle droplets mean that it doesn't really show up very well on the radar, though. It was cloudy and very humid, 24 overnight, then up to 31 degrees on the Sunshine Coast. Zooming out, warnings are still current for heavy rain and damaging winds with a mix of rain and storms in the northwest of the state here. A flood watch also current with some minor to moderate flooding already developing. Now tomorrow, more unsettled weather in the northwest, while moisture also feeds into a trough and front here and extends down into southern parts of the state, feeding storms. It might just edge into the southeast too. Around the capitals tomorrow, Adelaide and Melbourne are tracking for dry tops of 23, Perth 33. For northern Queensland, storms and potential heavy falls around Mount Isa and the northwest, downing to still some isolated showers and just some breezy winds on the coastal areas. In the south, also stormy for most inland spots, some lighter showers from Rockhampton down towards Gympie. In the southeast, it heats up both night and day before thunderstorms get going into the afternoon around the southern ranges, also possibly affecting the Gold Coast. The odd severe itself is possible, then we need to watch for some more thundery rain at night as those storms spread. Plan to keep cool. It will be stinking hot and steamy tonight as well, 26 up to 36 degrees in Chermside. Out on the water, northerly winds remain, 15 to 20 knots to start on Moreton Bay, then up to 25 knots in the Northern Bay into the evening. So in Brisbane, keep the fan or maybe the air conditioner on tonight, a minimum of 26 degrees. Not great sleeping weather. A possible afternoon shower or storm on the way back up to 36. Hopefully not too many breaks in the cricket. Looking ahead, watch for some of that thundery rain continuing overnight into Sunday morning before a fresh round of storms into Sunday afternoon. And I think we'll see a few severe storms across the southeast, staying muggy on 34 degrees. In Ipswich, 35 with showers and storms possible right through Sunday, then cooling down with some more showers lingering into Monday. On the Gold Coast, a few heavy showers and storms in the mix from tomorrow afternoon through until Monday, then easing. And on the Sunshine Coast, well, it should ease into the middle parts of next week, but we do still have that potential for some showers and storms into Monday and Tuesday. Sharyn, it's back to you.
All right, thank you, Tony. And that is all from us this Friday. Thanks for your company. Updates throughout the evening, but for now, from all the team, have a good night.